Okay, so for the fun stuff, right? That's all the researchy stuff. Now let's actually see what this looks like. This is Kieran. We're going to take a look at all of the routines. This is the bath routine at baseline. Mom's asking him to go.
It's time for bath. Book is finished.
You see, he is a great ignorer.
Time for bath. Book is finished. I see.
And I'm deaf. If I can't see you, you can't tell me to do stuff.
It's time for bath. I want you to go into the bathroom.
Book,
It's time
he
for
says,
bath. Come on.
book, he says.
Later, more books. Now, it's bath time. Come on. Come on. It's bath time. Come on.
So you can see this is going nowhere fast. And it would continue. If she didn't physically take him to the bath, this would go on for hours. Hours. He just did not go. So here's how we understand his problem behavior. We're going to take a look here at this little path. So you saw all of his problem behaviors, some negative vocalization, generally non-compliance. He's just going to ignore the request. Sometimes he'd push his parents' hand away if she tried to kind of direct and scoot him along. All of that behavior happened following a request to go. Mom says go, he'd engage in this problem behavior, and the consequence that essentially told him, hey, keep doing that behavior, it works for you, was that he would escape transitioning to the bath, because his mom would kind of just give up and walk away, essentially. He would also, kind of on a secondary level, get more of whatever enjoyable activity he was currently doing, right? So if he was reading books and she said go to the bath, and he didn't go to the bath, he's also still sitting there reading books, which to him is far more reinforcing than going to the tub. There were some setting events for him, some things that increased the likelihood that this routine was going to be problematic for him. He didn't have a lot of predictability, particularly around what the expectations were and transitions. His entire day was kind of dictated for him, right? School day, do this, do this, do this, do this. So he didn't have a lot of choice. He also had a lot of physical fatigue that he dealt with. So at school, he used a manual wheelchair and pushed himself. At home, they didn't have enough space for wheelchair, and he did have the ability to crawl, so he kind of commando crawled through the hall. So by this time of day, he was often physically quite fatigued. His school bus also picked him up generally about 7:15 in the morning for school, and often he wasn't actually home until about 5 o'clock. So he had very long days, and he wasn't a great sleeper. So all of these things, we know what it's like when we're tired. Same for him. What Mom really wanted him to do when she asked him to take a bath was to go. And if he did, she'd praise him. He's fabulous, good for you. And he'd also get to have a choice of a bath toy and a choice of an activity after bath, so that, right, we came up with some things that would be reinforcing for him to say, hey, no, actually, do this behavior, because good stuff happens when you do. Often when we're talking about positive behavior support plans, we think about a short-term solution. We call it an alternative replacement behavior. And essentially, it's a behavior the child can engage in instead of the problematic stuff that gets them the same stuff that their problematic behavior gets them, just in a more appropriate, pleasant kind of way. So mom was fine if when she said, go take a bath, if he asked for 5 more minutes, like 5 more minutes to look at my book and then I'll go, okay? In actuality, as soon as we implemented the plan, he just did this. That doesn't always happen, but with him it did. This was kind of a bonus. But certainly, that was a strategy that we were ready to implement, that he could say 5 more minutes, mom would set a timer and say, great, 5 more minutes, and then we go to the bath. And most of us, again, do that. If somebody asks us to do something, we'll say, I'll be with you in just a second. Totally fine, right? So these are just some of the strategies. I'm going to not talk about every single one, but a few of the things that were implemented. Lots of visual supports. We embedded some choice into the routine, and I'm going to show you in a second a visual support and where the choice came in. A visual timer so that he knew when mom was going to come and say, dong, time for bath. Mom used lots of positive contingency statements. If you go to the bath quickly, then you get whatever. She taught him to refer to the visual timer so that he knew how to keep track of where he was at time-wise. And then lots of positive responses for desired behavior. So mom would praise him. If he went to the bath quickly, he'd get really highly preferred activities after bath. She learned to ignore the little minor problem behaviors and redirect him back to his visuals. Remember, this is what you need to do if you want to access this good stuff. And basically, she never let him escape. We, in all honesty, never saw problem behavior once we implemented the plan. He went with it. But she was prepared to kind of basically harp at him if he tried to ignore her. She'd like take the book away and, no, bath, go. And basically, the only way to get mom to shut up is to go to the bath. Many of us have learned that strategy. Yeah. So this is the visual that Alicia created. Mom says go to bath. If you go to bath fast, and we really focused on the word fast for him, he gets bath toys. And there was a little piece of Velcro up here, and mom would give him options of different bath toys that he could choose. Then he'd have his bath. And just before this study started, he got a Build-A-Bear for Christmas, and who knew how reinforcing this was going to be? But it was the biggest reinforcer was for him to dress the bear. And it kind of tied in with the routine really nicely, because after bath, he'd put on his pajamas, and then if he had done everything quickly, he would get to change the bear's clothes. And he thought that this was like the greatest thing in the whole world. Who knew? I was off buying Build-A-Bear clothes. However, if you don't go fast, you don't get the bath toy. You are still going to get the bath. If it takes us half an hour for you to get there, you're still having the bath, just without the fun stuff. And you also won't get the bear. All right, so those are the contingencies. This is a positive contingency statement, positive contingency map. So let's take a look at what intervention looks like now with mom using the visuals.
Time for your bath. You ready? You need to stop reading.
She asks for the blue dictionary.
No, not time for dictionary. It's time for bath. Okay? Remember, go fast to your bedroom.
He would get changed in his bedroom.
Toy. Have your bath.
Pick a toy, have a bath, play with your toys.
Change your bear's clothes. If you don't go fast, what happens? No toys. Still have a bath. No, change the bear's clothes.
Watch where his fingers go in just
Okay.
a second.
Are you ready to go fast?
He traces the desired path.
Yes. Yeah. You're gonna pick
Bear,
one?
he says. So she says pick one. Now he's got a sense of humor, as you'll see. He says 4.
Which
I
one
can
you
pick
want?
4.
4? No. 1. Pick 1. Put it here. Not 2. No. No. Pick
2,
one.
he says again.
You're being silly. 1.
1,
yes.
he says yes. So he still grabs 2 pictures, because this is really funny now.
One. Put it here.
Yeah.
Which one do you want? Okay.
Yeah.
Remember, go fast. In the bedroom.
Yeah.
Nobody told me about it.
Now he's changed in his little house coat for the trip to the tub. Happened to be a car in the hallway, so you know we should pick that up, right?
Later.
So he can see the bin of toys, and he's like, basically, show me the money. Bath toys, yes, he says. Bath toys, yes, right there. Let me see. You're holding up your end of the bargain, right?
Come on. Remember, you need to be fast.
And off he goes. So that was quite nice. Then we moved on to the computer routine. So here we are he's got a computer. It's a laptop that he has from SetBC. It's got a touch screen. He quite enjoys it. And Mom is going to try and get him to shut it down.
Time to shut the computer down. See? Look. Look at the clock. It's 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. You need to stop. No, no, not the game. Stop. Push this button. No.
Right? So that's what it looked like. If she took it away, he literally would park himself outside of her bedroom door and scream until he got it back. So here's our understanding of the problem for this. You'll see a pattern here. Mom asks him to shut down the computer. He engages in a bunch of problem behavior. He escapes that transition, escapes turning off the computer, and gee, guess what? Gets more computer time. Highly reinforcing. Same kinds of setting events as for the previous routine. Again, not a lot of predictability, not a lot of choice in his life, some physical fatigue for him. Mom really would just like him to turn off the programs, close all the programs, shut down the computer when she asks. If he does so, she'll praise him, and he can choose a different kind of preferred activity. Mom's whole goal really was to get him away from the screen and doing something else enjoyable. And again, she was fine if she asked him to shut down the computer, if he said, can I have 5 more minutes? Again, when we implemented this routine, as soon as we sort of rolled out the strategies, he started doing what Mom really wanted him to do, and we never had to sort of even do the 5 more minute thing. So some similar strategies for this routine as before. Again, lots of visual supports, embedding some choice, particularly around the next activity. So computer's finished, you get to choose what you do next. Same kinds of visually mediated positive contingency statements. Mom spent time teaching him how to shut the computer down, what all the steps were, and Alicia made a little visual that you'll see in the video velcroed to the side of the computer screen. Step 1, step 2, step 3, because Mom wanted him to actually learn how to, like, not just close the lid, but to close all the programs and go through a shutdown process. Mom praised him if he did what she asked. He got highly preferred activities if he shut down the computer. She would ignore the minor problem behaviors and again pull out that visual contingency map and remind him there's a good way, there's a not so good way. And again, if he didn't follow through, if he didn't listen, Mom would simply just take the computer away. That was it, right? So the computer was going. Either you do it well and then you get an enjoyable activity, or you refuse to shut it down and I just take the computer away and I decide what you're going to do next. So it kind of was in his best interests to shut the computer down when asked. Kind of. So here's what his visual looked like for this. And again, we used a visual timer. So Mom would turn on the timer. And the timer that we used here is a timer that has a red, yellow, and green light. So the light would be green while it was time to play the computer. And then for about 3 to 5 minutes before it was stop time, the light would change to yellow. And Mom would alert him to this. Notice it's yellow. See, what does that mean? And then when the computer time was over, it would change to red. So he had lots of warning about when that transition was going to happen. The timer would go on. He'd have 5 minutes to play while the timer was cycling through its colored lights. And then when the time was up, he was to turn the computer off fast. These are all of the steps to turning down the computer. So clicking on all the little X's to shut down programs, going through the shutdown procedure, closing the lid, and then giving the computer to Mom, and then he would get a choice of activity. Or it's time up, but he doesn't shut down the computer, then Mom takes it and Mom chooses the activity. So that's how he understood what was going to happen. So here's what intervention looks like. You'll just see a bit of that transition.
Yellow light means what?
So it's yellow now. She's asking him, what does that mean?
Light means what?
And it's hard for you to see, but he actually signed soon finished.
Yeah, computer
soon
finished.
finished.
The red light. Red light means what?
He's not quite so willing to actually say what that means. He'll go along.
Computer finished. See? Time to stop.
There's Mom putting the little checklist of all the shutdown steps onto the side of the laptop screen. She sits him up so he's kind of in a more stable position. She can direct him.
Yes, he can have book.
And he says book. Okay,
It's
so he's
time
already
to
identified
shut
what he
down.
wants to do next.
Hey, hey. First what? First the X's. Yeah, X. Later. Here. Now shut down the computer. You need to be fast. Then you get to pick an activity. You need to be fast. This one here.
So usually you had about, 14 different windows open
I
at
don't
any
know
given
who
time.
that is. I don't know.
Lots of shutting down to do.
No. Here. Shut it down. Thank you. Good work. Honey. Fast. Wow. Good boy. That was so fast. Thank you. Shut. Close it down. Give it to Mom. Computer tomorrow. You're sitting on the cord.
Stuck in the cord.
Thank you. Good boy. Yeah.
Right? And then he got a book. Right? So an entirely different thing. At this point, he's still learning how to do it, so she has to be quite directive, but he's quite cooperative, right, despite that.